Are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming out our lungs. Hey, are you listening? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you listening? Or do you just not care?
Well, hey, are you listening? This is a podcast exploring the past, present, and future of Christian music and Christian musicians. My name is Joel. I'm here with my good friend Brandon, and we connected over a mutual love of some particular artists, but also have kind of different tastes when it comes to things. And so we get to experience some new artists from each other while inviting some friends along for the ride. And today we actually have a friend with us, one of my friends growing up. And he was, for me, a guy who we played music together. We lived in the same neighborhood, went to school together. Today, I am happy to welcome to our podcast my friend, Dusty Goff. Dusty, how you doing, my friend?
I am so good, guys. I'm so happy to be here, by the way.
We're so pumped.
You can't tell.
So pumped to have you. I remember when we started the podcast, you were one of the first people that reached out and were like, dude, I'm loving this. This is so fun. And it, for me, just brings up a lot of memories of the two of us and playing music together. And it's been a long time since we've seen each other. So even getting to see each other over a computer screen is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'll say this 100 times. I'll be a broken record. But the fact you guys are doing this podcast about Christian music and uncovering and covering bands that I know and some I don't know, I think it's like the best thing ever. So if I could encourage you guys to just keep at it and keep doing it and keep having me on, and it'll be great.
You got it, man. We'll definitely make that happen. That's awesome. Well, so today I was talking with Dusty and trying to figure out what would be a good thing for us to spend some time covering. And he had a while back kind of submitted some ideas. And so Brandon, you're a guy that loves anniversary years. And so I was like, I wonder if we can meet like somewhere along the way. And so Dusty, one of the bands that you mentioned that was influential for you was the band Petra. And so I was going through the discography and noticed that their 1991 album, Unseen Power, would be celebrating its 35th year this year, which makes me feel so old because this was an album that I spent time listening to. And so then for you, like, it's also a record that that had some meaning. And so we'll talk about that and get into it in just a little bit. But we're going to be looking at that, Unseen Power by Petra. And I think we're in for a good ride when it comes to that. But before we get into all those things, I want to talk a little bit about what's in the news.
What's in the news? What's in the news?
So what's in the news is Petra. I don't know how well you guys know this, but Petra's back. I think we've announced this on the podcast in a news segment at some point. Brandon, do you remember? But we talked about how they have a new record coming out. And as of recording this, that album is out. It's an album called Hope. It is the first Petra album in 20 years. And it also hits on what is the 50th anniversary of Petra this year. I don't even have a concept for that. It kind of blows my mind. And I have not listened to this yet, as it came out today. But are you guys going to add this to your library and check it out?
I feel like I have to because it's Petra. And I'm really curious, like, how this is going to go. Like, I'm sure it's awesome. But, sometimes time isn't kind to artists we love.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how this album's going to... John Slitt, awesome. Bob Hartman, awesome. I just feel like I would enjoy it. But I'm going to hold it right there before I make any real opinions on this album.
I think stuff like this is always interesting because, I mean, as someone who has spent the last week, diving into a Petra, I'm curious, but yeah, I always think it's interesting because when you have a band, it's like if you just do the same thing you've been doing, people are like, okay, it's the same stuff. But then if you change it up, well, now people are upset because you've changed it up. And like I know for me, I think the closest thing, probably the oldest or like longest running artist I know is Toby Mac. Like, and I tell people all the time that I'm like, if you want to get into them, it's like, well, if you like pop, listen to this one. If you like this, because each album changes so much.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe Petra will have some rap or maybe.
I don't anticipate that, although it's probably happened on a Petra album. I mean, everybody was doing it for a while in the 90s. It was past when I was listening to them, if it did. But it's interesting with all these bands coming back because, Dusty, we were talking before we hit record about nostalgia and how for us as we get a little later on in life, those things like carry a lot of weight and have a lot of meaning for us, just things that were a part of our past. And so you kind of have to think that with some of these bands coming out, a band like Petra, who hasn't put out an album in 20 years, that you've got to kind of lean really hard into the nostalgia. And so, because it's not like I don't think you're trying really hard to develop a brand new fan base, but you're trying to really excite your existing fans that you haven't done anything for in a long time. And so I'm super interested to see what it's like. But if I had to guess, I'm sure that there are some modern touches to it, but I would guess it's probably pretty classic Petra.
Now, when you say they haven't been releasing music, have they still been touring over the past 20 years, or they haven't played a concert, a show in 20 years as well? Or do you know?
Man,
they did a reunion.
Okay.
I think a few reunion shows. I cannot tell you the date of that, but this was 2000s at least. But John Slitt, the singer, I know I feel like he's been nonstop, making music as either solo or going back to even previous bands he was in prior to Petra, doing stuff and then just doing random projects. I even saw he was singing with the guy from Whiteheart at one time. So I think John Slitt has been the constant doing it and making the music. Whereas I don't know so much about the other guys. I don't know if they were just kind of we're going to take a little break and just chill out until 2026 when we do this album. But
yeah. You have to imagine, though. I mean, these guys, I wonder how old a Bob Hartman is, if he's been doing Petra for 50 years. So it's pretty cool to see them stepping into this at this point in their lives. And I would just think, man, for them, it's probably pretty exciting.
Can I answer your question, Joel? He is 76 years old.
Holy
Bob
cow.
Hartman is 70. So that brother is out there doing it.
I would just hope that at 76, I'm doing something like that.
That would be the dream, right? But going back to that nostalgia statement, Joel, I feel like that maybe is why I'm hesitant to listen to the new album.
Yeah.
Because I've got these of what Petra was in my head, and I don't want anybody to mess that up. And I'm worried that that's going to get messed up if I listen to this album.
Last night, as I was spending time listening to Unseen Power, I went to, because I was talking to Emily, my wife, about Petra, and she's like, I was talking to her about the album, and she's like, play me a song. And then we just started talking about Petra for a while, and she's like, what's a Petra song that I would know? And so I went to the Apple Music, top songs. And the first one was off of their Petra Praise. I think it was Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. But the second one was Beyond Belief. And so I played it for her, and she was like, yes. And then I'm like,
come on,
this song is pretty much perfect. That's such a good album. Which is obviously is not what we're talking about today, but that's okay. So yeah, well, it's fun to see them be stepping back into the world of making music, and so I'm definitely I'll probably on the way home today pull that record up, Hope, and give it a listen and see what's going on there. So, all right, well that's fun. Let's move into playing a game today.
Let's play, let's play. It's time to play a game. Let's play, it's time to play a game.
That's right. We have a new segment song for our games called Let's Play. So our house band put that together. It's great. Actually,
talented.
with Dusty, we probably could have a house band. Just make it happen. So,
Man, yeah.
all right. So today, guys, we're going to play another round of CCM 20 questions. And I thought the two of you together were a perfect pair to make this happen because Dusty's got a good like knowledge of some of this stuff from the past. And so I think that you guys will be able to knock this out. But I have in my mind an album that was released by a particular artist. And so you have together 20 questions that you can ask me, 20 yes or no questions. And I will give you a yes or a no answer. And your job is to figure out what album it is that I have in my mind in 20 questions. Got it?
Okay.
All right.
Brandon, I want you to go first.
All right, let's do this.
Is it a solo artist?
No. Not a solo artist.
Was this I can ask this. Is the nix that idea?
That's
Have they released anything recently?
No.
Is it a female fronted band?
No, not a female fronted band. You keep trying to get Sixpence to happen, which would have worked really well with Dusty too, I think.
Were they big in the 90s?
They were, yes, big in the 90s. Brandon's like, why? Why the 90s?
Did any of them go on to have a successful solo run?
Yes, that's 5.
Okay.
Why are they so hard to think of?
But then once you guess it, it's completely obvious. You're like, oh yeah.
I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Did they start out in hip hop when they started?
Yes.
Was it fronted by 3 guys?
Yes. That's 7 questions. I gave you guys an easy one.
Which I thank you for. I think we know it. So are we guessing an album too, or are we just guessing the artist?
Yeah, you're guessing an album. So once you've got, you can ask me the artist and we can nail that down and then you can move on to the album.
Is this DC Talk?
Yes, this is DC Talk.
Is the album cover brown?
No. No.
Was it the album before the album that was brown?
Yes, that's 10.
Okay. And I'm blanking on that album title. I can see it in my head. Okay, I know it. Let Brandon go.
Is it Free at Last?
It is, yes. Free at Last by DC Talk. Good job. You guys got there in 10 questions. That's awesome.
Rock and roll.
For someone who is a huge DC Talk fan, I'm gonna be honest and say I only know them from Jesus Freaking Supernatural, and everything else I just know from like greatest hits. So sometimes when I play these games, I'm like, I don't know half of their like catalog.
Which is so sad. I think we've talked about this before, but Free at Last is a great record. And aside from one pretty questionable song, it's pretty awesome. So you should check it out for sure. I think you would enjoy it. All right.
Joel, I got to ask this before we move on.
Yep.
Do you still know the rap from Jesus Is Just All Right? The last rap that was super fast and everybody was like, what? It started with, I'm down with the one, there's no one with the sun.
Oh yeah, down was no. I don't.
G to the O to the D, never done. On the flow, on the no, on the go, on the pro.
Dusty still remembers it.
Bro, it was, if you could spout that like at any gathering of other youth, they were like, what? So,
those were the days.
Those were the days.
Oh my goodness. Cool. Well, congratulations, guys. I'm happy that you were able to make it there. Let's talk really quick about what we've been listening to lately. What have you guys been? What's been in the ears lately? What have you been listening to?
I feel like honestly, it's got a lot of the regular stuff I've been listening to. Like I feel like the new releases really don't ramp up till February.
Yeah.
So now it's just kind of I'm searching for new stuff, and honestly, I like to begin the year a lot of times by kind of reaching out and seeing what other people have been listening to and making a little playlist of just either new artist or like a DC Talk where it's like never listen to Free at Last, so maybe it's different albums from those artists.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like right now it's just kind of like leeching off of everyone else's current listening. So
I love that because I agree with you. It is kind of like a dry spell time of the year, and we're like coming off of December where nobody in their right mind releases anything because people are only listening to Christmas music and it's just not going to get any play. And so, yeah, the first part of the year is tough. I've struggled with that too. Dusty, what about you?
Yeah, so not to be a Debbie Downer, but somebody had said something that triggered a memory. They used the word Johnny Q. Public. Mm-hmm. They were using that in a phrase for something, and then that hit me of like, man, there was a band called Johnny Q. Public that I used to love. This was like 95.
Yeah.
So I started researching like whatever happened to Johnny Q. Public, and realized the lead singer had passed away like a couple of years ago. He was only a few years older than you and I, Joe.
I don't think I knew that.
Dan Fritz was the singer of this band, and he had passed away like unexpectedly. And man, there's something about learning like people that you really like gravitated towards. You learn that they pass away or something happens to them and they're kind of close to your age. It does something to me. So I've been listening to that Johnny Q. Public album. It's called Extraordinary.
Yeah.
It came out in 95. Oh, it's on Goatee Records. So it was like the first like rock band on Goatee. But man, I've just been listening to that. There's so many good songs on that album, and I've just been like paying my respects to Dan Fritz. It was a sad thing, but that band rocked, man. So that's what I've been listening to last couple of weeks now.
That's cool. That album is amazing, and we're definitely gonna have to cover it at some point. But yeah, the guitars. I've never forgotten the guitars, like just the tone and the sound and the playing on that record. It was so unique at the time. I think Orrin Thornton was the guitar player in Johnny Q. Public. He married Miss Angie for a while.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That didn't last.
Cool.
But yeah, I think he played like a Les Paul, which you can hear in the guitar tones on that record. But that's such a good album. I actually pulled that up at some point over the last year for some reason too and listened to it. Yeah, it's really, really, really good. But yeah, I hate to hear that. I didn't know that about Dan.
They were one of those bands that, you know, you guys have talked about, like there's bands that are not afraid to say things that maybe the church or Christians, they maybe shy away from like normally, but this like Johnny Q. Public, like they would they would openly talk about or sing about these things that were issues like with the church and all of that stuff. And I just really respected that a lot. So yeah, solid band. Good album.
That's cool. I don't have anything super exciting to talk about, but I was riding in the car yesterday with my daughter, and we were going to get our flu shots for the year, which is one of those moments when she's super anxious and worried. So I actually let her pick what we listen to in the car. And so she kept asking me to play all of these songs by the band The Figs, which most people would probably only know the band The Figs because they like guested with Forrest Frank on the song Lemonade. And so the Figs are not at all like Forrest Frank or Lemonade. It's like, I think it's two guys, but it's like kind of Americana, folky, acoustic kind of stuff. And I was letting her pick it, and we were listening to it, and I'm like, this isn't bad. And so I actually turned it on last night in my house of my own volition. And so they only have one record, and it's called The Figs Present the Figs. And so if you're into kind of that acousticy, kind of folky kind of stuff, it's pretty good. And so, yeah, check it out. I'm going to listen to it a little more. So, all right, well, let's get into the topic at hand for the day and begin talking about the album Unseen Power by Petra. And so I'll give us a little bio as we kind of get into this, just as a reminder. So Unseen Power is the 13th studio album of their Christian rock band Petra. It was released in November 1991. That blew my mind that this was their 13th album. That's wild. The album retains a driving edge while veering away from the more commercial pop metal sound of their previous efforts. Bob Hartman has stated that he and the producers intentionally chose to move in directions they were not instinctively inclined to go. And so this album, Unseen Power, won a Grammy Award for the Best Rock Gospel Album in 1992 and won the Dove Award for Rock Recorded Song, Destiny, in 1993. And in 97, Brandon, Jesus Freak Hideout, I think 97, maybe it's 2000, I don't remember. Anyways, they reviewed this and gave it 3.5 stars. So that gives us a little background info on Unseen Power. Let's kind of talk about our background, just maybe with Petra or this album to begin with. What kind of history do you guys have with this band?
I'm looking at Brandon right now.
I can go first. So beforehand, I was saying the only memory where time Petra and I have crossed paths was first off, I bought one of their CDs at the flea market, and it was the God Fixation album. Just at a time where I was like, let me grab whatever I can. And I think I might have listened to a few songs of it, and I was just like, oh, I'll listen to this later. And I never listened to it later.
Right.
And then I think that they're mentioned in Audio Adrenaline has a album or a song called the Houseplant Song. And essentially it's this song about this guy that's like doing the sound test or whatever, where it's like, oh, all music is evil. Like if you give a plant that music, it's going to die or whatever.
Okay.
And I think they mention like Petra in there as one of the like bands that the guy is talking about is evil. So that's the only references I have is this satirical Audio Adrenaline song and this dollar CD from the flea market. So not as much as you guys, I would say.
So that's it for you going into this. That's all the exposure that you've had. That's cool. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts for sure on this one. Dusty, what about you?
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out like how could I like make this succinct as possible, and there's no way I could do it. So I got to start at the beginning. When I grew up, my dad's a pastor, so I'm a preacher's kid. So therefore, growing up, all I was really like exposed to musically was like Southern gospel groups that would come to the church and set up.
Yeah.
And that was that was the world of music to me up until I was about 10 or 11. And then I started going, there's got to be more to it than this. So I started searching like radio stations and just listening to whatever I could hear on the radio. Being a pastor's kid, like there were things I could not listen to, right? So that stuff is what I wanted to hear. So like, Metallica or Guns N' Roses, that was the big stuff that was going on at the time. I wanted to know what all that was about. So I was getting into that weird territory of like, I'm kind of like trying to find something that sounds cool, like the secular music. But I didn't know this world of Christian music existed. Not even like the early stuff, like Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant, like all the early stuff. I didn't know that existed. I just thought it was all Southern gospel. Like Christian music was Southern gospel, and that's all I had to go on. Well, whenever my dad moved to a different church, which is where we met up finally. This is like a time of change for me because I was fixing to be a teenager and I was trying to figure out life in a new school and I felt isolated. I was trying to figure out all this change. Somehow, some way at this new church, my older sister got her hands on a copy of this CD, Unseen Power. I didn't know Petra. I didn't know what was going on, but she put it in her CD player and I was blown away. I was there. To me, there was no way like this existed, like a Christian band that sounds this awesome. So that's what got me hooked. And also I call this the Gateway CD because this opened the door for me to actually discover like more of this Christian rock alternative scene that was starting to sprout up at that time, but starting to explore all this and to get into all these awesome bands that I eventually got into. So I have to put a lot of credit on this album for getting me like started down this road of discovering awesome Christian music. So,
and credit to your sister. She was super cool.
Credit to my sister for I heard it coming through the wall between our bedrooms. I was like, I walked within there. It's like, what is this? She's like, this is Petra. What's a Petra?
You were like, how are you allowed to listen to this?
Yeah. When did mom and dad say you could listen to this? But yeah, so it's a great album. Great way to get introduced to this world.
That's cool. I have like a similar story with it too, because I was in middle school and went to summer camp, and we went to a camp in Texas called Friends Forever out in Waco, Texas at Baylor, which was interesting that we would make that trip from Mississippi for camp, but we did, and we went over there. And I might have talked about this on the show before, but one of the cool things about that camp is that like you did all the normal camp stuff. Like camp stuff during the day. At night, they had worship and then they had teaching. But every night after the teaching stuff was over, there was a concert by different artists that came through. And so I remember like For Him was there, Steve Camp was there. But the one that like just rocked my world was Petra played one night, and I'd never been to a rock concert before, probably never really listened. I was listening to like For Him at that point in my life probably, and Petra came out and played, and I remember standing down front for that show and my mind was just blown that night. And so I went and spent all my souvenir money on the cassette for Unseen Power. I still, somewhere to this day, man, I should have brought this and found it, but I still to this day have a bandana that is a Petra Unseen Power bandana. It's got the little windmill thing on it.
That's awesome.
I think it's in my sock drawer at home. But yeah, I spent all my merch money on that and came back and wore that cassette out. I mean, just listened to it forever. And like you, Dusty, it really was like a gateway for me to a lot of things. Like a lot of things that interestingly were like way heavier. I think it led me down a path of listening to some pretty heavy music beyond that, but then kind of like ultimately into that world of like alternative, Christian alternative rock, which is cool. So yeah, this is a big one for me too. So I'm interested to talk about it. I haven't listened, apart from prepping for this, I probably hadn't listened to this album in about 25 years, I would imagine.
Same for me. Like I don't think about it a lot, but we'll get into this, but when we listen to it, it's like, oh, wow, this is really good.
It all comes back, which is cool. So I'll mention this too. We talk a lot about like ratings and how we do ratings. And so I think for me, like, I just want to be clear probably going into this that I'm not very good at divorcing like nostalgia from the way that I feel about things. And so that's going to be part of it too. But I also think that when I listen to a record and review it here, that I'm not comparing it to, like, I'm not comparing Unseen Power by Petra to Disintegration by The Cure. And like, if Disintegration is a 5, I'm not like basing my view of Unseen Power off of that. But I'm saying, all right, this is a hard rock 1991 Christian album. Like, if I'm a record reviewer then, and this had just come out in the world that it was in, like, what rating would I give to it at that point in time? And so maybe that's helpful for our discussion. I don't know, but yeah, how do you guys think through that when it comes to ratings?
I feel like that's a really good way, because that's something I struggle with, is that, like, I think it's this big scale of every album ever.
Yeah.
So like with an album like this, if I give it a 3, I feel like I'm saying, oh, so it's just as good as this other album I love. And I think that for me, sometimes that is a struggle. I think too, what's funny is that what's nostalgia for me is not the same like for y'all.
Sure.
So I feel like for me, it's funny thinking about like an album like this. I might like, let's say I roll my eyes and I think, I don't know, 90s music like stinks. But then we go to like Family Force 5 and I'm like, man, I know like my favorite album of theirs could potentially be so cringy to someone who doesn't know that band. And they'd be like, Brandy, you think this was good? And so, yeah, sometimes I think too, for me, like if I give something like a 2.5, I feel like it's not like a 50%. It still falls into like the good category. But I think that comes across as, I don't know, to me, like a 1 is like that's a bad album. But I guess like a 0 out of 5 would be an actual bad, but I don't know.
That's why when we go over this track by track, I want Brandon to start first, because I want to hear from his perspective with no history with the band or no nostalgia. I want to hear, this is the transparent, like completely like honest review. I think it would come from Brandon, because I will have a problem divorcing the nostalgia
Right.
aspect from all of this. So that's going to paint every one of these tracks that I'm going to speak on. So
Sometimes I like piggybacking when one of y'all goes first, because like my Joel's reviews will be something like, man, do you know that with this guitar, that's never been done, but they did that with this like type of guitar? Whereas mine will be like, man, you could just like, this could be like in a Kia commercial, or it could be like in a action movie. You know what I mean? In my mind, I'm like, that makes sense, but
I love it though. I think that's the great way to look at it.
That's
It's
funny.
a refreshing take on the stuff. So.
Well, that's what Dusty's here for, so we better give it to him. So, all right, well, let's get into Unseen Power by Petra, track by track, and talk through this. So, track number 1, Destiny. Brandon,
you know what?
talk us through it.
I'm gonna be honest. So like we said, going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I fil like when we did the Striper Christmas album, some of it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of like cheesy or whatever. So I don't know if that was gonna help or hurt going into this, but with Destiny, I felt like it was a great opener, and I enjoyed everything that was going on with it. Like honestly, I was fully prepared to either love it or to be like, oh, okay, well maybe it gets better. But I found myself being like, oh, this is cool. Like I've got hope for this album. I just felt like everything from the backing vocals to the guitar to lyrically what was going on. Like I think that anyone's listening to this, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the first song to kind of kick off an album. And I mean, I think they did a good job of having someone who had never listened to them be like, okay, I'm fine with sticking around and listening to the rest of this.
That's cool. So you agree with the Dove Awards and the fact that this one rock song of
Yes,
the year?
I agree with if I was on the Dove panel.
That's great. Dusty, what about you?
Yeah, like I always picture when I'm pressing play on that track one of like if I were in an arena and the lights went out and this is what started, how pumped would I be? And when those wind chimes start and you hear the Lord's Prayer, I'm like, oh, what's fixing to happen? And then that guitar comes in. It is so big and it just kicks off and it's incredible. I think this is the perfect way to start the album. And yeah, like you said, like it's just like everything just fits in the song and it's so sonically wide, like from a mixing or engineering perspective that you hear everything as large as it is. It's just a great track and it really amped me up when I like after 20 years, however long it's been since I've heard this album. I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. So Destiny, 2 thumbs up.
That's cool. My first note on my paper is Brandon's going to love this album. Maybe a little sarcastically, but no, it's funny. As I went through this album, I did something that I don't ever do, but I felt like, and we'll get into this more, but I felt like there was a lot of variety on this record, probably more than other Petra albums that I've listened to musically. And I think that that's mostly good over the course of the album. And I think it leads into some of what we read, looking at the bio for the record, that they tried a lot of different things. And I think a lot of that worked. This song reminded me of like a Aerosmith song from like back in the day. He's another, what you would consider like a hard rock band. I really actually like the production on this record, even though it's not like a modern kind of produced record. And so part of me wanted, when the guitars kicked in, I wanted them like a little bit more in my face. But I ended up just really enjoying the production across it. And yeah, I think it's not my favorite song on the record, but I think that it's a really good opening track for this one. So
They had to leave space for John Slitt's vocals. That's why they couldn't put that guitar solo in your face. 'Cause his vocals just like take up all the rest of the room. So.
That's good. That's good.
All right, next we've got Who's on the Lord's Side. I think it was fun. I wrote down it felt like it would be the theme song for like a Christian superhero show. Like I was imagining some kind of like 90s like Captain Planet on
You're talking about Bible Man.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what that
I don't know if he knows Bible Man.
I'm trying to think of what that the channel was back in like the 90s. The Christian, it was like all Christian. I'm forgetting what it was called.
TBN.
Or INSP.
Yeah, I'm thinking like some kind of like Power Ranger or something, but no, I liked it. I felt like it was fun. I feel like it's stuff like that when I say, oh, it felt like it could be the theme song for it. In my mind, that's an example of, that's a compliment. But come across as, you guys know a really cheesy like cartoon, that's what this would be the theme song. So in a positive way, it could be the theme song.
Yeah.
The Christian Power Rangers.
I wasn't expecting this song again until I heard it. And then I'm like, man, like this song really worked for me. And I love the play with the guitars and the organ together. So this is a cover. This is not a Petra original. It's a cover of a guy named Timothy Wright, who is a gospel artist. And so he wrote this song. And so I don't know the whole story if it's like him and his like gospel group that's doing like the backing for this. But man, I just felt like this worked. But it's so different to take like gospel music and then mix it in with Petra and Petra's sound. But somehow they pull it off, and maybe that's the Elefantes like at work making it happen, who produced this record. But I really dug this song. I thought it was really strong.
I totally agree. It was off-putting a little bit at first with that intro, and I was like, what is this again? And then when it really started going with the B3 organ and then the guitar, and especially when that choir comes in, it's that gospel rock hybrid that I didn't know could exist. It did exist really well. And I do feel like the Elefante brothers had something to do with that. It really, especially as the song progresses, it just gets, to me, it gets better. And I'm like, man, I just could see myself driving down the highway with my top down and just blaring this for like some reason. And just like, that's to me is another like successful, if I can picture myself driving down the highway with a top down, blaring it, then it's a good song, I think. And I feel like this is one of those songs. It's super upbeat, which is good. And I really dug all the things about the song.
Yeah, I love the tempo of it, and just it never like lost me or lost my interest. Like I could see putting this song on like one of my like running playlists or something, just because it's got a great tempo for something like that. So I dug that one. All right, track 3 is Ready, Willing, and Able.
I think that this song made me start realizing how catchy like each song had been.
Yeah.
Because I think this one's just like the dun da 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 da, and I felt like it was cool because like up to this point I was like, man, each song is like there's nothing about it that makes me want to skip it, or there's nothing about it that's like, okay, like I've gotten the verse and chorus, I can skip. Like I want to hear out to see what they're going to do with it. And I feel like it was nice because, like you said, I think that like there's certain like bands or times or genres where it's kind of like you do your own thing, like pop punk. There's some albums where I feel like it's good, but also every song is the same, like template. So I felt like I was like, man, this is cool that this is like going like above expectations. And even this song, I'm like, I feel like on paper, it seems like it would be very like cheesy, but I was like, no, I'm enjoying this. Like I was walking through Walmart while I'm listening to it on my like headphones, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. Like my mood is enhanced because of this song.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It works. Like it works really well. I love the guitar that's at the start, and he's doing something different vocally. Like there's low vocals kind of to begin, which leads to something cool later. The drums come in. It's cool. I love the instrumental. There's like a dual guitar solo, which I'm a sucker for later on in it. I wrote down Bon Jovi for this one. I don't know why, but it just reminded me of that at some point. So I think the chorus on this is great. It's just a great chorus. So
yeah, I totally wrote the words catchy hook when I was listening to that, and very radio friendly. This too is where, Brandon, you'll appreciate this. The lyrics, like if you read the Petra lyrics, they're really hard hitting. Like they're really good. So I started really paying attention to like what they're singing about, and all of these songs are really like solid in terms of like their theology and like that. But this is like a great example of like this active faith idea of being Christians that are doers and that do everything as God intends or as God's will is. And it's just a reminder like how much thought I guess went into the writing of the lyrics of these songs. And Bob Hartman, like I got to give it to him. He's just phenomenal as a songwriter. So, and that's the thing I'm going to keep talking about throughout this album is how great of a songwriter and lyricist Bob Hartman is for these tracks.
Yeah, I think you're so right. Track 4, Brandon, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on track 4.
Man, I think this might be the greatest song I've ever heard.
Hand on my heart.
No, I think this was the first miss like for me on there. It just doesn't seem like it like fits the rest. I put on there this is the dark side of the 90s. But I kind of circle back to this later that it kind of, I go back and forth on stuff like this, is that it's so different. But I'm like, on one side, it's like, why not make something closer to the rest? Like, there's a good thing going, but also it's like, if you keep doing the same thing, you just have 10 songs that are like in that same template. So, I mean, I think that it was nice that there is this like change of pace and there is something slower. I think that it could have just, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. I should think of how to word that.
I thought that's where that was going to go. But Dusty, what were your thoughts?
Basically the same. It was really hard to get through this song, and I really did try. It's that 90s ballad-esque thing that gets me. And when you start really listening, I listen to the instrumentation a lot of times to know what's going on. And I think at one time I heard a harp somewhere that came in randomly. There was like weird kind of whispering vocals happening in the chorus. And it was just like, I can't get into it. I really did try, but this was not a good one for me, especially if somebody new to Petra was like, hey, like, what's the deal about Hand on My Heart? I couldn't give them an answer other than experimentation or just trying something new, but I just couldn't. It's not a good one to me. I struggled.
I was going to say with stuff like this too, I think it's nice kind of leaning on people who are more familiar with like the album or it. Cause like I'm really big on knowing kind of like the story behind the song. So like there's songs that like I did not care for, but then later on I find out, oh, well it was written about this thing, or it sounds this way because he's covering, like a friend that had passed away or something. So like I always find it interesting, but it also makes me feel better whenever I'm like, I don't care for this. And then someone else is like, yeah, I'm in the same boat, versus like, this is the song that changed my life.
Yeah. So I think on this one, I mentioned earlier that this is a record where they try a lot of different things and take some risks. And I agree with you guys that this is probably like the miss of that. I will say, though, I don't think that the whole song is a miss. I think that there are certain parts of it. I mentioned writing down artists. I wrote down Amy Grant on this one. And I'm not really sure, like, why. And I wonder, again, if this is like the Elefantes, like, saying, let's try something to, like, capture this, like, pop stuff that's happening right now and that's really popular. And ironically, like John Schlitt can totally like handle a song like this vocally. And so in that sense, like it doesn't sound like a miss, but it's just like a little too tender, I feel like, for the record. There are parts of it later though that I actually liked, that reminded me like maybe of like Bryan Adams on the bridge or something. And so there are parts of it that I liked, but as a whole, yeah, I think I have to agree with you guys on that.
So maybe I should go back and not be so critical and try to get through it.
I think it's just
and
that
find those parts.
I think it's just that part when he's singing "Hand on My Heart," like the chorus, that's like hard for me. Like it's just a little too tender. But I think the other parts of the song are okay. So yeah. Track 5.
Oh yeah, try.
I need to hear from you.
Yeah.
Are we back?
You'll hear from me. Yeah.
Are we back?
Yeah. I felt like this one was different from the rest. But like in a positive way.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed having like variety. Like even if you were to take out Hand on My Heart, I feel like it's still like a little bit different without going too far in it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I think too at this point I started thinking it like just about the idea. It's not really important to the review, but I started thinking about how stuff used to be released with like on cassette and all. And I just started thinking about like, man, I feel like it's so different when you're like, you have limitations on what you can put on this cassette. Like, so track listing, it made me start thinking, nowadays it's like, if I'm putting something on Spotify, I can do whatever I want. Whereas with the cassette, I've got to think, well, this like it's running long on this side, so let me put this track on that side. And I mean, it's not really important to this. It's just, I started thinking about just like the difference in producing like physical stuff with limitations versus today if you're releasing something. So
Yeah, I hear that. I think I really liked this one a lot, and Dusty, I was actually texting you last night as I was listening to this, and this is the one that I was listening to, and I'm like remembering like why I spent so much time with this album, because these are good songs, really good songs for the day and for what they are. There wasn't a band, especially in the late 80s and really early 90s, there wasn't a band doing this as well as Petra. I mean, there just wasn't. And so I think this song is great. The chorus, the pre-chorus and the chorus on this are so good, and so catchy and just pull you in. Again, the variety, like I feel like there's enough of a good change of pace in here where it's not like, it feels like every song is like the song before. And I love that about this album. So
Yeah, I think going back to the like instrumentation idea of what was recorded and what you hear, I think specifically on this song, you can hear there's less density in this song, which gives more space. I was joking around about it earlier, but Slit's vocal like is prominent here, and it gives it space for him to sing. And when I'm listening to this song specifically, it is so good. And then I realized it's less of a proclamation type song as it is more of a petition song, meaning like this is a song of an uncertainty and praying for discernment and all of this stuff. And that just resonates with me just in general as a topic, like a Christian like walk topic that I think I just gravitated towards the subject matter, and that made me like the song even more. But yeah, the recording of it and just the overall sound of the song is just great. And yeah, so this is a great song.
yeah, I love that. All right, track 6 is Dance. Brandon, what'd you think?
I think this might be my favorite track off the
Okay,
album.
cool.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty fun. And I think they did that well. Just making just like a fun track. I started noticing at this point that like each lyric, or at least what I can remember, each one had some kind of tie to like Bible verses. And I just felt that was pretty interesting. Like I remember years ago, I think the first band I noticed to do that, like funny enough, was Neon Horse.
Yeah.
Because they came out with all these just like crazy songs, but it was like, oh no, there's a Bible verse attached to, and you're like, wait, that's in the Bible? And so I just thought that was pretty cool that even on a track like this, you can like have this like, oh, well, here's where we're getting this idea of celebration or this thing basing it off of.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this track.
That's cool. Dusty.
Yeah, this is another great one. Now I'm a broken record. I'm saying that about most artists. This is another great one. As a guitar player myself, the first thing my ear goes to is those heavy guitars pre-verses, and just how big this song sounds. I love Slit's vocals in this one particularly because he hits these super high notes. And I'm like, man, that brother, like, he's just killing it. But overall, it's just a good listen, and it's great song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this. I wrote down Aerosmith again for this track. And I honestly, like, as it was starting, I wanted to be like, all right, this is a song that I don't like, just because I felt like I sort of needed a little more of that on this record. But then it like just kept going, and I'm like, nope, I'm into it. Like,
Yeah,
I like it. It just kept winning me over. The chorus is good. There's a great turnaround that happens. there's a lot of thought that went into putting these songs together, and a lot more than you would think on a record like this. And so, yeah, this, I mean, again, like the album just keeps surprising me, like with not having listened to it in 25 years, like how much I can still enjoy it. So it's kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting that, like you throw around, oh, it sounds repetitive or it's the same or whatever, but it's funny that you'll say that, but then there's three of them that won't connect, but then one of them does connect. And then you start realizing, okay, well, there is a difference, even though I think on the surface there's like it is the same. It's like, no, there's little differences, and maybe it's just like the way it's singing, or like a small instrument change or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, 7, Secret Weapon.
I was trying to figure out what the sound was, because I don't think it's a guitar, but I'm thinking it might be. Is it like an organ in the background? But
I like the beat.
Yeah, I really liked
beatery.
it. Yeah. And so I was trying to figure out what it was, and this is one of the tracks where I'm like, I'll let them go first, that way they can say, isn't that nice they use this? And I go, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I also enjoyed that. But yeah, it was, I was like, that's cool that there's still this little twist that, if it has been happening, I haven't like picked up on it, but on this one, I'm picking up on it. So I'm enjoying that. It just goes back to trying a band like this. I always have this thought that this could be an album where I'm at this point, I'm like, come on, can there be something good on this? Because I want to say something positive. And I feel like up to this point, there's been one track that I'm like, I haven't cared for. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, I've enjoyed this. Like, I don't find it annoying or anything like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do think that this one's not one of my favorites on the record, but I do think that the thing that stands out for me on this one that I did enjoy was just the production of it. That there are a lot of flourishes and different things like the organ and different stuff that just stand out that work. But maybe with some of that, like the song feels like a little disjointed to me and not as cohesive as some of the earlier ones. But yeah, I don't know. Dusty, what'd you think?
Yeah, I got to call out John Slitt again. He hits another like these high notes on these songs. He hits them, and it's incredible. But the guitar solo, I thought Hartman nailed it. I love the way it ends because it does that sustain, like it stays on the one chord and it slowly fades out, and you just hear it go, 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 go. And I just dig that. It wasn't my favorite song by any means, but I got into it once it had been going for a little bit. But Hartman, man, I got so much respect for that guy and how great he is as a guitarist and a writer. So it's the message of the song, I think, is like what I cared about the most, of having, like, you care about somebody, so you're praying for them, all that, and that makes me like the song more than I originally would. But it wasn't my favorite, but it was a good track.
Yeah, I haven't brought this up yet, but something that I noticed listening to it is how often they use the classic fade out at the end of a track on this album.
Gotta love it.
I know it probably wasn't every song, but it almost felt like every song to me has like the fade out at the end, and I'm like, man, nobody does that anymore. But
it makes me sad. I love it.
But yeah, it is kind of fun. All right, track 8, Sight Unseen.
Let's see. I enjoyed the guitar solos, and I wrote down again that songs are just so catchy. Like, I feel it's another one that I think there's a fine line of being annoying. Like, when you get a song stuck in your head, it's either one that's just really catchy and fun, or just the most annoying song. And so I enjoyed that. When I walked away, like, singing along to like the songs that like were catchy. So it made me thankful that I didn't spend my whole day just replaying something I didn't care for in my head. But yeah, I really catchy. And like I said, I just think the guitar solos, for whatever reason, stood out like on this track, to me.
Yeah, I thought about that too. That I like that, and I like the lyrics on this one. And just the idea about faith and what it involves. And so I feel like for whatever reason, that's what stood out to me the most about this song, just because I enjoyed it. I thought I thought that the lyrics were really well done. That just kind of shined more than anything. So most of my notes were about that, but yeah. What about you, Dustin?
I will say, Brandon, on that note, like I literally wrote the chorus gets stuck in the head because it was something like I would listen to it and then I would keep hearing it after I listened to the song. I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of these songs. But mid tempo, like it was big. Like I get it, but I think Bob Hartman pulled the wah pedal out and started using that on this song, and I think that's what stood out to me. It's like, oh, he's using the wah pedal here. Nothing else really. I didn't really feel a lot for this song. It was good, but I was like, eh.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of felt like, all right, we're getting towards the end of the record here. And it just kind of felt like it a little bit with that one. So, okay, Brandon, you want to talk us through track 9, Hey World?
I think it was another miss. Like I think it's just I don't know. I think it's just hard when you have a band that is kind of like known as this like energy and all to like translate that into something slower. Or I mean, I don't know y'all's opinion on this, but for me, it's just sometimes like hard for that because I mean, like Family Force 5, like it's a band that I grew up with, and I kind of felt the same way where sometimes there was a struggle for them to like hit the brakes because they were so good at just this like crazy all over the place that it was hard for them to like hit the brakes and it be smooth. It felt more like they were slamming on brakes and like, I don't know, like it just didn't, I know the track which wasn't working for me.
But you know those Family Force 5 songs on that album were my favorite songs on that album. So I don't know. Yeah, I like, again, not my favorite song on the record, but I'm a sucker for like the 80s, 90s, like keys, electric piano. And so I'm here for it. And I think knowing Petra enough that yes, they're generally known for like the hard rock thing, but there's always moments on their records where they pull back. And this felt more like Petra pulling back to me than Hand on My Heart did. It felt like it was more cohesive and it fit the record. I also like, I mean, this is a song about abortion and adoption and choosing that. And so I just, it felt personal to me, like with my kids being adopted. And so I feel like, yeah, like, I don't know. I thought the guitar solos were great. Again, not my favorite song, but I think like the message of it and the way that the message was portrayed, I thought was like pretty well done. Yeah, I mean, I was here for the change of pace. I don't know.
And this is where Brandon and I diverge paths.
Oh man.
This is where, because I want to say this is the song that I love the most on this album. And they did pull back, and that is true. It's not as heavy and all that. There's something about just the chord progressions and of course the lyrics and the way all of this song is put together. I love this song, and I listened to this song even so. This was the song that I would listen to outside of listening to the album, whatever. I had it on a playlist, my Christian music 90s playlist.
Yeah.
I put this song on that play, and I will hear it occasionally through the rotation. And man, I love it. I think it is so good, and the message is great. Yeah, just I love this song, so I can't say it enough. I love this. This is my favorite song. So I'm sorry, Brandon, we don't see eye to eye on that.
Well,
it is like incredible.
I'm really glad that I could put a damper on the song that changed Dusty's life and is about adoption and life.
Dusty got what he wanted, though. Like, this
I
is the moment
did.
that he's been waiting for, is
This
to
is
hear
it.
your unfiltered thoughts first.
All I wanted was transparency, Brandon, and you gave it to me.
I'm learning my lesson, so next time I'll be like, no, go ahead. You should go first.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I mean, honestly, I thought we were going to get here way before track 9
I
for
did
you
too.
guys to be disagreeing on this. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed that we made it this far. I think that's good. All right. The closing track, In the Likeness of You. What'd you guys think? Another slow song, Brandon. So
I know. I'll roll the dice again and say, I don't know. It just wasn't one of my favorites. I feel like I kept waiting for it to kind of like pick up, and I think this is when I went back to like putting together I guess I don't know what the word is, the psychology maybe behind like putting out track listing is I'm thinking if I was putting this together, maybe I throw one of these like slower songs more in the mix, like mix them up and end on like a higher note. But it's me thinking, well, if it's 91, is this something that typically in their minds they're thinking, no, there's a reason why we have these slower tracks? Because I feel like, I mean, I don't know y'all's thoughts, but I think the second side of this is a little like slower, like than the first one, or it feels like it. So it made me start thinking like, well, is that a choice they're making because like there's a reason, or is it just we're gonna throw these at the end? Because I was thinking even in a concert, I could see it ending with like either picking back up and ending on a party song, or maybe having like a more energetic song than ending with the slower one. But it made me just think like even in a live show, if I had both of these tracks back to back, like am I enjoying it, or could it maybe just, I don't know, maybe just changing up the track listing improves it a little?
I knew for you that because you do have this idea in your head of you want an album to go like a concert. And so I knew, man, this isn't going to work for you at the end. Either one of these songs really. And so I kind of knew going into that you were going to struggle with it. And Dusty, what were your thoughts on this one?
So I do agree somewhat with what Brandon said about closing. It felt weird being this much quieter song. I think that was done on purpose. And if I'm remembering this correctly, the keyboard player, John Lowry, I think his name, he had written this song just on piano or whatever. And as they were mixing it in the studio, the engineer at that time who was mixing said it kind of took a life of its own. And there was a decision made that instead of going with the powerful, big ending of the album, they wanted something a little more reflective and humbling, I guess, to an extent, of where it's more like an introspective, quieter moment. So they did that intentionally, I believe. I think somewhat that may be a 90s thing too, like a Christian 90s thing, of where they'll tack on that last track to be something like that, of where we're going to be introspective and we're going to just reflect on things, and like that's how albums would end. It felt more common back then, but like it's a good song. My tastes are not such that I would listen to this a lot, but I appreciate it and I respect it for what it is. It has a great message. So for that alone, it's a good track, but it's not one of my favorites.
I really do love the heart behind the song. And I think that comes out. This felt like a John and Dino Elefante song to me more than a Petra song. Like if you ever listen, the guys who produce this, if you ever listen to any of their own music, like it feels like this.
Yeah.
But I think the melody's good. And it does build, but it doesn't build to where you wanted it to build. I remember I was thinking the same thing, being so long since I listened to it. I'm like, oh yeah, this one is gonna build to something that's pretty cool. And it just stepped up, and never really built anywhere. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I understand where you guys are coming from with it as the last song. But I think it works. And then of course, what happens is where the album begins with the Lord's Prayer, like it ends with the ending of the Lord's Prayer, and then that quote that leads into the unseen power, which I kind of thought was kind of a nice little wrap. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I think I don't know.
I know it's like a '90s kind of thing to do on an album, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something that if you like know them more, like because I mean that's kind of the vibe I'm getting is that the last two tracks, it's like I think if I heard like after talking to y'all, if I went back, maybe I appreciate them more and it doesn't feel as abrupt.
Yeah.
But I mean I enjoy when bands do the little things like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Joel, help me remember this. Wasn't that last Lord's Prayer, that was like the secret track? So if you let Likeness of You continue to play for like 2 or 3 minutes, eventually that faded back in. So you didn't know it was there necessarily unless you just let it play. Which was a big deal in the 90s on CDs. Like, you get a secret track, that was a big deal. But...
Which I had this album on cassette, so I can't really remember.
Ah, okay. I think it was. I think you were not expecting it until you just happened to forget to turn the CD off, and then you heard it again. You're like, oh wow, they ended the way they started.
It's definitely not its own like track, but I don't know how much space was in between like the end of In the Likeness of You and that. I know in my Apple Music listen, it was pretty quick. After the end of the song when it came in. So I don't know.
I appreciated it. I think it's cool to bookend the album in that way. I think it's just it may be like a reflection of that time period, but I just think it's really neat to open and close with that.
Yeah. I liked it too. All right, well, let's kind of talk about just our overall thoughts on this and our ratings, which again, Brandon, we just can't wait to hear from you on this one.
Yeah, I think I think going, like I've said, going into it, you don't know what to expect. And I feel as though like I thought there was going to be a lot more moments of me not enjoying it. But I think walking out of it, like overwhelmingly, I found myself being like, this is catchy or enjoying or appreciating. And I mean, I think that like even the tracks I think that, what was that?
Hand on My Heart.
Yeah, I think Hand on My Heart was the only one that was like, oh, okay, if I could just delete a track from this.
Right.
Because I think even the last two, it's like, even though like I didn't care for them like as much, like it wasn't anything that I didn't like. So I think all things considered, I'm probably going with a 3 for the album.
Cool. That's a good step up from a Striper.
Yeah.
Which I think is deserved. So that's awesome. Dusty, what about you, man?
I think if you were to ask the non-nostalgic Dusty for a rating, I would say like a 3. No, 3.5. Just because the musicality of it is really good. But when you ask nostalgic Dusty what his rating is, he's going to give it like a 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Like pretty close because of like I said, like it opening this doorway of all of the things that Dusty at that time didn't know was coming down the road of all the great music. So let's say 4. If we combine the two, we'll say a 4 and call it good.
I'm curious, Dusty, what do you think would be like that one change that takes it from like a 4.5 to a 5? Like off the top of your head, can you think of, like, is there a track or just one thing they were doing, or?
I to get there, they need to remove "Hand on My Heart," and then they need to add like a really up tempo, fast, big thing. I don't know what that would be, but they need to do that. Yeah, like that would be the first thing. Like "Hand on My Heart" just really like bummed me out, man. So I think that would be. But I have to give it props too, because this is a total side note, but the background vocals on this album, somewhere on this album, Jamie Rowe and Tony Palacios, who are the two members of Guardian. Brandon, we're gonna have to learn about Guardian soon. By the way, we'll have to have an episode about Guardian. But they are singing background vocals somewhere on this album, so I have to give them props for those two being singing on this album as well. So that plays into some of this rating as well, because the Elefantes were cool enough to put those guys on the album.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a Guardian discussion, and because I Dusty, I don't know for you, but I know specifically for me, as Guardian moved more into the alternative world, that's where I kind of enjoyed them more and got into them. But Buzz and Bottle Rocket are just two records that, man, there's
Chef's kiss.
There's not a bad song on either one of those records. They're just so good.
So good.
So yeah, that'll be a fun discussion. Yeah, for me, so I probably land somewhere in between you guys on this. I feel like I'm getting in a bad habit of like falling somewhere around 3.5, which is where I think I fall with this. But I honestly, like, we've talked about this before. I rate every track, and then get that like average, and that's just where I keep coming out on when. So I'm sorry that I feel generic and feel in the middle, but I think I'm at like a 3.5. I think this album, maybe I would go higher than that, maybe a 3.7 or so, because this album really surprised me. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, again, listening to it. And I'll probably listen to it some more and jam it some more out of this, because and while I think that the album could have used a Ready, Willing, and Able, or Who's on the Lord's Side on the backside, a song like that on the backside to really just kind of bring some energy back to it again. I do think there's so much that they do here that was stepping out of the wheelhouse for them that works, and maybe some of it that doesn't, for sure. But I think for the most part, the risks that they were taking were well earned, and they did a good job with those. So
I think it's a testament to whenever you have a record that it holds up, like for someone like Dusty, that like is like, man, this album like changed my life, and he can go back and be like, man, this brings back so many memories. And then you have someone like myself who like I feel like honestly, like whatever genre or sound you're putting this in, like that's the genre that I just don't like. There's so much of the 90s that I'm like, oh, I don't care for. But when you have something that you have someone like me walking away and enjoying it, I think it's just a testament. It should be like appreciated, because there's a lot of albums that do one or the other. Like someone like me loves, and someone looks back and goes, this was not as good, or vice versa. Like Dusty's like, this was incredible, and the whole time I'm like, oh, how can I put this in a nice way?
well, I'm really happy. I really was, as I was listening to it, I was thinking, I think Brandon's going to like this more than Striper. And yeah, so it proved itself to be true, which is fun. So this
Poor
has been
Striper.
Now that's the Striper Christmas album, which I feel like is pretty. Have you listened to that yet, Dusty?
I listened to bits and pieces.
Yeah, there's some good on there, but it's pretty underproduced for the most part. And
Just saying something when Joel's saying it.
It doesn't. Yeah, I know. I actually love underproduction, but it doesn't work for that kind of music very well. And so, anyways, I thought again the production on this record was great, just kind of across the board. So, let's move into our lyric of the week. And the lyric of the week this week comes from the song Sight Unseen. For so long I was depending upon My senses and fences I tried to ride on, and trusting in things that can never be seen was always a crutch on which others must lean. Thinking if I could see, I would believe. Then somebody said, believe, and you will see. I love that turn. I think that's cool. So it's good stuff. Well, I want to announce one thing before we kind of move towards closing out the episode, but we are starting a new segment on Hey, Are You Listening? And it's going to be a mail segment. And so we are opening up a mailbag for you to reach out to us and ask us questions that we can bring onto the podcast and talk about and answer and have conversations about. And so we would love it if you want to submit a question for us to talk about and to answer. You can send those questions to our email address, which is Hey, Are You Listening Pod. I'm going to not get this right. Let me just make sure. Let me check my notes really quick. Which is, again, Hey, Are You Listening Pod at gmail.com. Hey, Are You Listening Pod at gmail.com. So reach out to us, ask your questions. We'd love to start talking about those in future episodes as we get into things. But Dusty, man, it's been so fun catching up and having you on here. It's just good to see your face and talk. We need to make more of a habit of it. So where can people find you and maybe things that you have done musically, or how can people connect with what you have done out there?
Yeah, so I'm not super active on social media, but if anybody wants to find me somewhere, I will be on Instagram. D Guitar, the letter D, the word guitar, all one word. You can find me on Instagram. I will randomly post once every 6 months. And if I'm back on the show down the road, maybe I'll have more to give as far as musical projects that I'm working on, because I am starting a thing, but it's not ready to be talked about just yet. So maybe down the road we will discuss that a little bit more. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. This is a blast. And thank you for doing this every week. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's been really fun for us to do, and it's been fun for me to have moments like this. John Paul, obviously, and like we were able to have John Paul on, and so just have him on and then you on and Ty, like for me to get to catch up with some of my friends that I don't get to see very often is a really fun thing. But to get to do it while we talk about music and stuff that we all love together is just a great joy. So we really appreciate you coming on and having these conversations with us. And definitely, I can't think of anybody else that I would want to have on to talk about Guardian. So we will we'll make that happen in the future.
Definitely.
Which will be a lot of fun.
Sure.
So, dude, thanks for joining us. You guys, thanks again for listening. And we hope that you will continue to listen. Find us on social media. Hey, Are You Listening on Facebook? We'd love for you to come and interact with us there. Subscribe to the show. Leave us a review. We're just grateful that you're sticking with us and are looking forward to seeing you again next week.
Hey, are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming.